Welcome back to Success Beyond Borders from Mongolum, where every week we dig into those really fascinating, important topics that are shaping the world of media and tech.
That's right. We try to bring you the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve.
And this week we're taking a deep dive into something that's, well, it's been on my mind a lot lately.
Yeah. What's that?
Navigating AI-driven global revenue streams in the media and entertainment industry. It's a mouthful, I know, but stick
Yeah.
with us. It's really crucial stuff.
Definitely crucial. And to really unpack this, we're turning to a great article by Adrian Jen, it's up on Angulum right now.
Really smart piece. It lays out this challenge that, I think a lot of us in this industry are facing.
Good chat.
Yeah, the article starts by taking us back to the late 90s. The era of those big Hollywood blockbusters.
Right.
Big, huge budgets, stars, the whole nine yards. These films, they often just dominated the domestic box office, right? But then, and this is the interesting part, in some international markets, despite all the marketing, all the efforts to combat piracy, revenue would just it would stall. It plateaued,
Yeah.
and nobody really knew why.
Yeah, I remember those days. So much head scratching going on.
Right. People were trying to figure it out. I mean, they were looking at everything, regional holidays, release dates, heck, even the weather. They were grasping at straws, trying to figure out why the money wasn't coming in as expected in those specific regions.
It really highlighted a disconnect, didn't it? Like this disconnect between the expectations and the reality of global revenue.
And that disconnect, that's what makes the question the article asks so relevant, even today. Like fast forward to now, we've got streaming platforms reaching practically everyone on the planet, social media connecting billions of people. You've got short-form content everywhere, and AI is just, it's everywhere, right? It's woven into like almost every facet of media and entertainment.
From suggesting what we watch to actually producing the content.
Exactly. And we have more data than ever before. Distribution channels are so fluid, and AI-powered workflows are becoming the norm.
It's like a whole new world out there.
It is. So the question is, with all this amazing technology, why does revenue still seem to, well, vanish in some regions?
Yeah.
Why are B2B providers, why are they still left wondering why the numbers aren't adding up?
It is strange, isn't it? You'd think that with all this data and smart systems, we'd have it all figured out.
You would, wouldn't you? And that's exactly what we're going to look at in this deep dive. We want to understand why turning all this technological innovation into that predictable and consistent revenue growth across all these different global markets, why that's still so difficult.
Right, because you can have the best tech in the world, but if you don't know how to use it...
It's basically useless. And that's one of the first things the article points out. It says that it's not just about the tech.
It's about the bigger picture.
It's about understanding something called revenue growth management. And it needs to be at the core of how we think about the global media ecosystem.
Revenue growth management.
Yeah, it's basically about, it's about looking at how companies invest in these AI-driven solutions, all the cloud platforms, the dynamic ad serving, the really cool production tools. But then the article argues that a lot of companies, they don't really plan for how to get the most out of these investments in all these different markets.
So they're spending all this money on tech, but not on the strategy.
Exactly, the strategy for monetizing it effectively.
Yeah.
And the thing is, AI isn't just some like far-off concept anymore. It's here, and it's making a real difference.
Oh, absolutely. Like, remember when people used to talk about AI like it was magic? Now it's like part of our daily lives.
It is, and the article talks about how the media industry has actually gone way beyond just talking about AI. Like we're seeing practical innovations happening right now that are really changing how we work.
Real tangible stuff.
Things like, automated metadata tagging, predictive orchestration of content, getting to the right place at the right time, even integrated quality control processes. These are all real-world AI in action, and they're actually leading to, well, to real improvements.
And saving everyone so much time and effort.
Think about it. AI can take raw footage from a live sports event and create highlight reels for like all these different platforms and audiences almost instantly. And it's what's driving those personalized recommendations we see on our streaming services.
Right. It's like having a personal assistant for content.
AI is becoming like embedded in the backbone of media. Yeah.
And it's really changing the game.
The article dives into some specific examples like media asset management, AI-powered systems. They can really cut down on, the manual work, the grunt work involved in things like metadata tagging.
Metadata tagging.
Yeah, it's basically adding keywords and descriptions to all those video and audio files. It's super important for, for keeping everything organized, but it used
Yeah.
to take forever. And AI is also making it much faster to, find the right content when you need it, and even helps decide what should be archived.
So less time on tedious tasks, more time for creative stuff. That's a win.
For sure. And then there's the whole challenge of moving these huge media files around the globe.
Yeah, getting that content to the right audience on the right device at the right time. It's a logistical nightmare sometimes.
It can be. But AI is really stepping up to make that whole process more efficient. It's ensuring things run smoothly from a logistics standpoint.
It's like the conductor of the content orchestra.
That's a good way to put it. But what's even more fascinating is that uh, AI is even starting to impact storytelling itself. Those highlight tools we talked about, they're not just picking random moments. They're using AI to understand the story, to pick the parts that are, really going to resonate with viewers. And those recommendation engines, they're personalizing suggestions in real time. It's pretty amazing.
It's about keeping people engaged,
Yeah.
right? Making sure they're always hooked on the next thing.
And this isn't just in streaming either. The article mentions the potential of AI across news and film production, too. Journalists using AI in the field, in film studios, leveraging it for those like really complex post-production processes.
So AI is touching every part of the media landscape.
From creation to consumption. That's why companies are really pushing their AI capabilities.
Mhm.
They see it as a way to stand out, to stay competitive. And here's the catch. The article argues that even with all this progress, there's still this problem of lost revenue.
Lost revenue. But how?
It's like we have all these incredible tools, right? But the article calls it invisible lost revenue because we don't always see it. We're not always capturing it.
I see. It's there, but it's slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. We have the metadata tagging, the localization, the real-time analytics, but those alone aren't magically creating more revenue.
So the tech isn't enough. What's missing?
Strategy, a deep understanding of how to make money in all these different markets. It's about revenue management. You can't just assume that what works in one place will work everywhere else.
A one-size-fits-all approach. Yeah, that rarely works.
And the article uses generative AI and content localization as an example. It sounds amazing, right? AI translating dialogue, adjusting lip movements, even changing cultural references. Faster, cheaper localization.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream.
But the article warns that if you just rely on AI for this, without really thinking about local cultures, adapting storylines and stuff, you can actually end up alienating your audience. Like, cheaper and faster doesn't always mean better.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Between the efficiency of AI and the human touch.
Exactly. You need both. And that's a big point the article makes. It says B2B executives, they need to realize that what's a hit in one market might flop in another.
Especially if they're just applying AI globally without any nuance.
Right. And it's not just about, the type of content people want. The way you make money, the advertising models, they could be different too. What works in one place might not work in another.
Different regions have different preferences, different levels of tolerance for ads.
And then, of course, there are regulations, right? Data protection, censorship, all that stuff varies from country to country.
Right, it's a regulatory maze out there.
It can be. So for B2B solution providers, the article suggests that the focus shouldn't just be on developing fancy AI tools.
It's about what you do with those tools.
Right. It's about using them strategically to support revenue growth that's tailored to each specific market.
So data and insights are great, but you need the expertise to apply them in the real world.
And that expertise can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Understanding what type of content works best in a new market versus a more established one, that can mean the difference between just like slow growth and real, breakout success.
The companies that can provide both the tech and the know-how, they're going to be the real winners.
The ones who can bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And help media companies avoid creating content that just, falls flat in certain places.
They're the ones who can help unlock that invisible revenue.
Exactly. And the article also talks about this trend of partnerships emerging in media production. Partnerships that try to bring together efficiency and creativity.
That makes sense. You need the human element in storytelling.
Yeah, and that balance between automation and human insight, it becomes even more important when you're talking about about content that's going global.
Because what resonates in one culture might not land in another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are the bigger questions, the ethical ones. As AI gets more involved in things like editorial decisions and recommendations, we have to think about artistic integrity, about making sure diverse voices are still heard.
Right. We can't let AI become a homogenizing force in storytelling.
And those are tough questions. Like, how much creative control can we give to AI? How do we ensure that the content is authentic, and culturally sensitive?
Questions that every media company is going to have to grapple with.
So to sum it all up, the challenge for those in the B2B media space is to keep pushing the boundaries of AI, sure,
Yeah.
but also to really think about revenue growth from the start, to embed it in every innovation.
It's about combining that cutting edge technology with a deep understanding of the market and a solid strategy.
And that often means going beyond the data,
Hmm.
recognizing that there might be hidden opportunities in those global markets. It's about understanding those subtle preferences, the cultural differences, the alternative ways to make money.
It's about finding those pockets of untapped potential.
Exactly. And the article suggests that things like fractional sales leadership and market-specific advisory services, they can really help companies do that.
They can help bridge the gap between the technology and the market reality.
Because ultimately, it's about making sure that all those investments in AI, they're actually paying off,
Mm.
that they're leading to real, financial success. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it really leaves us with a question. Are we so focused on on building these super dance AI tools that we're forgetting how to navigate the global market, how to actually, use them to maximize profit?
It's a good question to ask.
It is. Because in this age of, intelligent content and global reach, it's not just about creating great content. It's about knowing how to make it a global success.
And that's where the real challenge lies.
If you enjoyed this deep dive into AI and global revenue streams, be sure to like and subscribe to Success Beyond Borders. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the trends that are shaping media and tech.